a lot of security concerns and safety concerns. There's tons of these, right? But this AI agent, which, like I said, it's been labeled sort of with the intention of mind to capture your imagination, right? But once you see how it actually executes the work, you will see the benefit of it, right? The benefit of AI agent is that you are no longer in need of coding. You are no longer in need of coding up to a certain point, which is the instruction you give it. So let's say, for example, you write down that I need to send an email to this person at this time for this purposes. You know, it's not that hard to write codes to say, do this, then do this, right? But to, like the actual statement of it is that if then this, but if then else statement becomes the next level of coding, right? Because if this didn't work, try something else. But don't bother me by telling me it didn't work. Just try something else and see what happens. And if it meets the instruction that I gave you, come back and tell me it worked. So you're automating, but you're automating without writing the code. You are using your language to give the instruction. So for the coding that you and me are probably not thinking about writing 24 hours a day, because it takes a long time to code and it takes a long time to be proficient in coding, learn programming languages, go to boot camps, and do it for long enough that you can be proficient in coding. But even with the proficient coding, we don't have the infrastructure to execute that coding with it. As much as it fascinates me, I find it to be a task that we have to work our way through, because it's going to go through the same life cycle of things that we've discussed last week, which was that MLOps, right? But we'll get to that in a little bit. But we really have to work our way into a place where we are comfortable with this AI agent, rather than think that it will just be delivered and then it will just work on day 5, right? So you'll have to troubleshoot it. You'll have to understand one of these pieces, which is the monitoring and maintenance of it. It works day 1 just fine because it has a brand new set of data, and that brand new set of data is what it specialized on, it trained on. But day 4 or 5 or day 40 or 50, things starts shifting a little bit to the left, where you're not feeling so well about how the data is performing or the system is performing. Oh, all right. All right. If you are thinking about automation or orchestration of this single AI agent that works well for you, how do you make it interoperable? How do you make it scalable and sustainable, right? It goes back to that low code, no coding, right? It's a matter of understanding what is an AI agent capable of, and how is that AI agent developing its capability over time, rather than sticking to what it is that was delivered with, right? So when you're thinking about automation or orchestration, there's a lot of systems that has good automation, but it requires lots of work in order to make it scalable, right? So it has a sustainability piece to it, right? It's always is sustaining. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It always does it without a glitch. But in order for it to interact with the other system and have it scale to do more than what it was originally intended for, it's the scalability piece and the interoperability piece, right? So if you think about an AI agent, all of a sudden you have a different version of that. That power is something that was almost unheard of, right? And unheard of because, going back to that discussion about, if you don't know how to code, it takes a lot to code, and it takes a lot of capital, financial capital, human capital, and the problem of your OpEx, right? How do you pay for these things to maintain itself? If you had an AI agent solutions today that you're working from outside and in, you will be able to see how, without really paying for this much coding, without paying for this infrastructure, and the system that can, you can try it out, see how it reacts to your system, right? It's more than anything else. How do incorporate an AI agent to take over that task, right? And if it does, great. But now, you're able to write more codes, write more instructions to have it do more things, right? I think this is going to be a really exciting future for us, that we are moving into, and I think we will have, many companies like, Nvidia and Microsoft, Apple, these big giant companies. We'll see many more of these. But the reason I'm making a forest of these logos here is because I want you to think of what these companies are contributing to, and why they're spending so much money in these capabilities that they want to provide you as a service. And once they do, how do you incorporate these services into your daily life and into your daily operations, standard operations on a daily basis, or just your quarterly or your yearly? However you want to think about it, I want you to imagine what these companies will enable you to do, and how do you enable yourself to interact with the services and capabilities these organizations will provide to, and work and improve on that tedious task in order to grow a capability from its infancy. So if you're interested on learning more about these capabilities, and how to, dissect it, how to, discover more of it, how to layer it, layer by layer approach, how to, extract the best and leave the rest, and, how to do interoperability, scalability, and sustainability, feel free to reach out to this community, because this community will enable you to ask those questions in live scenarios, as in, like, you have a use case, you have a scenario, and you're wondering how to use AI for that. Well, you could spend hours and hours researching it, and then come to us, or come to us, then go hours and hours of research, because that's what we